But now I want your calls on this. Should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor be stripped of his Falklands medal? 0207 862 2222 is the number to give us a ring. Buckingham Palace has refused to rule out taking away the campaign medal Andrew earned for his service as a helicopter pilot in the Falklands War in 1982. He began his military career in the Royal Navy in 1979 and ended it in 2001 with the rank of commander, but he was given the honorary promotion to vice-admiral in 2015. Now, the government is seeking to remove that title, the last one he held, at the King's request. But do you think he should also lose his medals as well, Matt?
I don't think he should lose anything that he won or was awarded on merit. So if you are brave in a war such as the Falklands War, where British service personnel lost their lives, an incredibly frightening thing, I imagine, to be caught up in, brutal, something obviously I'm glad that we won as a country. But if you are awarded a medal for your service in that war on merit, then you should retain that. It's different if it's something that's honorary. And I would say it's different if it were, let's say, a knighthood. So if you are knighted and you then go on, and I'm not saying this in the case of Andrew, but you then go on to do something horrific,
well, we can talk
there's
about
an argument
Jimmy
for that
Savile,
being taken away. Right. So Jimmy Savile should have been stripped of his knighthood.
Even though he did do all that charity work?
I think so. And you might think there's a contradiction between me saying that when it comes to knighthoods compared to active service. I don't think there is, because I think active service is a different level or a different category to the breadth of areas that you can be awarded a knighthood for. So look, if the King thinks it's the right thing to do to strip him of honorary titles, even though he's denied everything, that's one thing. But don't strip him of something that he's actually merited.
What do you think, Glenn? Why are they stripping him now? What's happened? What's come out? Is it just this book?
I think there's more information that's come out. I think they're probably expecting more information in the future to come out, and they want to be seen to be doing something. Now, I would generally agree with Matt if this was, I don't want to say a normal person, but a person that's not a part of a royal family. Through merit, you should be able to retain that. However, this is not a normal person, this is a royal. And because he's a royal, he has levels of protection. Therefore, he's never going to be held to the same standard with the things that were alleged. Now, if that was a normal person, they wouldn't have 12 million to settle a case. We don't know by way of court if he did it or didn't, but if he had an ounce of integrity, I would have liked to see him say, I did not do the things that are accused of me, therefore put me on a stand so I can prove my innocence, and then he could keep everything. But what he did was, he doesn't seem to have, to me, any humility, and he has, in a way, got away with or averted that court process or that investigative process. Therefore, what I love about this country is our rule of law, which means no one is above the law, even people from the royal family. Well, it seems that he is. So where there can be some level of,
I don't want to say justice?
I don't want to say punishment, because we don't know, but we know enough that this is the levels that we could do, strip him of everything.
All right, let's go to the phones and see what you at home think. Simon from Manchester, take away his medals for the Falklands?
Absolutely not. I was in the army in 82. I was 18. I was on standby to go to the Falklands. I never went, but I was on standby. I knew friends in my regiment who did go. They were there. They were on active services, not on honour, as has been said. You earned it by physically being there on active service in a war. It is not some nonsense gong that you've been given. This is the real deal. He should not, absolutely. I'm not a fan of Andrew. I'm really not. I know it sounds like I'm sticking up for him, but I'm absolutely not. But let's see the facts. He's not actually been convicted of a criminal offence. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm saying he's not been convicted.
You're not wrong, Simon.
If a Falklands veteran who was in the Falklands got his medal and was convicted of a criminal offence, would he then lose his medal?
Well, this is the interesting thing. Does this set a precedent? But as Lynn says, he's not just your average veteran, Simon. He is a royal, and shouldn't royals be held to a higher set of standards?
No, not on this. No, absolutely not. Yes, gongs, I agree, honours, no problem. It doesn't matter whether he's a royal. He was a soldier and he attended a war. End of.
Yeah, but Simon, Simon, I agree that he maybe shouldn't be held to a higher standard, but he's not being even held to the standard that any of us here would be held to.
Yes, he is.
No, what I'm saying is the things that have allegedly come out, if that was someone else, would there not be a criminal investigation?
The police. It's open to the police and the Crown Prosecution Service. Of course it is. In this country, you're right about the rule of law. It's totally open for them to investigate Andrew if that's what they decide to do. What is happening is he is precisely being held to a higher standard already because he is being stripped of honours, admittedly that he did nothing to merit other than being born, but he had those honours, and he is being stripped of something that he was entitled to through our system, despite it never having been proven that he broke the law. So he is being held to a higher standard already.
No, the reason why it's never been proven is because due process was not followed how it would be with another person. I understand what you're saying about the police, but we probably
But he settled out of court.
Oh, how? He found 2 million, which could be, we don't know, connected to our taxes. I wouldn't be able to find 12 million, sorry. I wouldn't be able to find 12 million, would you? Would you?
No,
As a normal person, they would have been hauled in front of a court system.
OK, thank you very much, Simon, for your comments there. Don't go anywhere because we're taking more of your calls after the break on this. Do we need to take away the medal Andrew earned in the Falklands conflict? And don't forget, later we're also asking, is it all right for children to use American slang? It's happening everywhere. 0207 862 2222 is the number. We'll see you after this. Before the break, we asked on Thursday, as part of a fundraising stunt, Royal Marines did what at Waterloo Station? And the answer is abseil from the ceiling. Welcome back. We're live on 5. Matt and Lynn still here with me, and I think we can see the Marines doing just that, abseiling from Waterloo Station. It does look fabulous, I have to say.
Does.
But if there's anyone that I think isn't going to be scared abseiling from the ceiling of Waterloo, it's the Marines. Like, I want to see somebody like myself being forced to abseil before.
How much do you want to see yourself being forced to abseil?
Not me particularly, but somebody akin to me, not someone with specialist training in this. But anyway, they've done terrific work. I think they raised £1 million for the Royal British Legion. So amazing. It was for their poppy appeal. But yes, I mean, it would be much more dramatic if I had to do that. OK, let's get straight into your calls on whether Andrew Mountbatten Windsor should have his Falklands medals taken away from him. Buckingham Palace has refused to rule out taking them off him. So get your calls in 0207 862 2222. Should they do just that? Richard from Edinburgh, what do you think?
Well, first of all, absolutely not. He's a complete arrogant buffoon. But that's something he's earned for himself through his other activities. Mm-hmm. The one thing he did do, and I remember it very well back in 1982, was he deserved all the praise he got for the very bravery that he actually went through when he was fighting an enemy in the Falklands War. And there's no way that the medals that he got given for that should be taken away from him. End of story.
But why should anything be taken away from him, Richard? Because at the end of the day, he's not guilty in a court of law of anything. It's
okay.
He's
I can't
maybe
argue
brought the
against
royals
that.
into disrepute. Could that be an accusation thrown at him?
Well, I guess that's something for them. The king, who isn't. I mean, Andrew had a much better record than the king as a member of the military, and. I don't know what I'm supposed to say on this because I think they're trying to save the royal family in some way or the monarchy or whatever. Mm-hmm. Andrew has really screwed up the whole sort of popularity of the royal family. He's constantly in the news. He's constantly under the scope because of the stupid things he's done. And he's so arrogant that it just makes people sick.
But Richard, if he's done nothing wrong at all, which is what he has consistently says, as I understand it, then this would be bitterly unfair, wouldn't it? To lose anything.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, good question. Do you believe he's done nothing wrong?
I just honestly don't. If he has done anything wrong, then clearly he needs to be punished, and not just punished by having his honorary titles taken away. Let me just make the point.
And medals taken away.
There would need to be a police investigation,
yeah, well,
and he would need to be held under the law. All I am saying is he has not been found guilty of anything in a court of law, and we do have something in this country called "you're innocent until you're proven guilty."
I totally agree with that. But he's severely embarrassed the royal family.
And
well, because
Richard,
he's been accused of things which he
hold on,
denies.
I think what's really interesting is that you and Richard are sort of arguing the same point. Richard clearly, if you don't mind me saying so, does not like the man and thinks he has terrible characteristics. But you do believe, Richard, that he should be able to keep the medals that he's earned. Yes. So, Lynn, if you have earned something, yourself, for example, did you go to university? I don't know if you have a degree. Okay, if you get done for, I mean, you would never do this, but petty theft, okay, you go to a court, you're absolutely guilty of it. Should that degree be taken off you? The fact that you spent that time
as a lay
earning
person, as a normal civilian, then no. But as I've said, he's not. And as much as before the courts, we haven't had the opportunity to hear that fact-finding, you know, that the courts would do the investigative process. He was very easily able to settle 12 million. Why would you settle such a high number if there is no level of, I possibly could have done the things that were brought about or suggested?
I'll defend Andrew here and say that he has a lot of money at his disposal, so it wasn't a difficult thing for him to do. And at the time, the worst case scenario is that he goes to court, everything gets dragged through the mud, true and false, and his mother was not a well woman and he didn't want to put her through that in her last years.
Well, like I said, no one else would have that opportunity to be able to push something under the carpet. And I think, the royal family is becoming less and less popular. Even if you look at people who have commentary online, the call-ins, they're all above a certain age. If the royal family want to garner that support from the younger generations, they need to see members of the royal family really be held to account for certain things, even if they possibly could have done it, for the simple fact of the situation surrounding
But let's
Andrew.
say one of us is actually convicted of a crime, and I have to keep repeating that Andrew is denied of and he hasn't been convicted of anything. But let's say one of us were actually convicted of a terrible crime, and we had also won a medal or been awarded a medal for bravery serving for our country. I cannot see how that medal should be taken away. And I do distinguish between a medal for bravery and a knighthood. A knighthood feels to me is part of the honours system. It is about honour as well as achievement.
But what is a medal if it is not an honour? Richard from Edinburgh, thank you very much for your call. Elizabeth from Devon, what's your thoughts on taking away Andrew's medal for taking services in the Falklands?
Hi, Storm. Good morning. My favourite panellist on today as well.
I won't ask which, and both of them can go away thinking it's them. So go on, tell me, Elizabeth, what's your view?
I think they should take him away. I think he's absolutely disgusting, to be truthful. My father died in the Falklands, and my two brothers served in the Falklands. And they've gone on to do other things with like SASA and other things like that to help other veterans. He served his mother, Queen and Country, and it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that he, in her later life, that's had to bring all this through. Now, there was a case in Devon not that long ago that an active serviceman, very high-ranking serviceman, was actually taken to court and over photographs and other bits and pieces, I can't say it on anything, and he was actually stripped of his stuff. He was stripped of his title, he was stripped of his medals, and also he lost his pension. Now, does Andrew still get a pension?
Interesting. I have no idea. It's actually it's not very transparent as to where Andrew gets his money from or what his finances are like. And that could be a debate for another day, Elizabeth. But I suppose we can't go into the details of the court, but the high-ranking officer that was stripped of his medals, did the crime have anything to do with the Falklands and his service?
No.
That's very interesting. So that sets a precedent anyway. Then.
Also, I understand you're saying he's not being convicted, but it's the things coming out after. You know, emails of suggesting he may still go and visit, or he's still befriended a convicted paedophile. Why would we want a member of our royal family? That is very embarrassing to Great Britain, even if you're a patriot. So he's never going to go to prison. He's never going to be convicted, generally speaking, being a member of the royal family. So let's do what we can to send a message, even to the younger generation, if you do something wrong, which we know he's not being convicted, but if you carry out certain behaviour, you will lose certain things. And this is the only thing that we can do.
Isn't there a problem, though, saying that if your behaviour falls below a certain barrier, you could have your medals and other things taken away from you? And I'm not just talking about members of the royal family, I'm talking about any ex-serviceman. We really need to set a stall of what that bar is if we're going to do it, because couldn't this set a precedent for going forward that any veteran committed any crime gets all of their medals taken away from them?
I think he should have been given a choice. He should have been, now that, the late Queen has passed, his choice should have been, you get to keep everything. You get to keep the house, you get to keep your titles, but you have to be open to putting yourself on the stand, to letting us know what really has happened. It's up to you. What would you like to do?
You have to be prosecuted for that to happen.
But Virginia Giuffre is no longer with us, so I'm not sure.
But my thing is, at the time, because it was an out-of-court settlement, that's why. I'm sure Virginia at the time would have been happy to see that.
I just want to make a very quick
call.
distinction to reiterate. So I believe there is a distinction between losing your honorary titles that you've done nothing to merit, even when you haven't been found guilty and you've denied it, but the king thinks that there is a good reason to strip him of those titles, and losing something that you won or were awarded out of merit. I do think there is a dividing line, and that's why I'm making that case.
So you would put, but an MBE, for example, you are given for services to whatever it is that you have achieved.
I acknowledge,
so if it's services to charity, you can't take away that somebody did that charity.
It feels that the honour system feel like it's a bit more subjective than the medal system in the military for active service.
You would say that this medal for his services to the Falklands is akin to somebody getting a degree. It is quite clear that that person has been through that study.
Exactly.
They've sat there.
And the honours, I agree, of course, that with bravery, it is subjective, isn't it? But it feels to me like a different system to the honours system, which we call the honours system. And if you have behaved in a criminal manner, then there's a very strong argument that you should be stripped of honours.
Got you. Judy from Gloucestershire, what's your thoughts?
Hi. Well, I think he's made some huge mistakes, obviously. He's been totally stripped of everything. He fought in that war at the Falklands, and I think he deserves that medal. And apparently he is not still called a royal.
No, he will no longer be Prince Andrew. He is just Andrew. But if they're willing to take that away, Judy, why not just take the medals?
Well, that was something he actually done. He fought for the Falklands. He genuinely done something right.
But the royals don't do anything.
I think he should have the medal. I agree a lot of what Matt's been saying as well.
OK, Judy, thank you very much for your call. Linda from Kent, what's your view?
I asked my husband what he thought, because, Storm, I come on and speak to Jeremy on quite a few occasions, but I thought, really, it's not my opinion that counts, because my husband actually fought in the Falklands on HMS Hermes, and I'm very proud of him. And on Sunday, he'll probably wear his medal. So I asked him, what would you take his medal away from him? And he didn't even stop to think. He said, I most certainly would. I think he's a disgrace. In fact, he used a bit more fruity language.
Well, I'm very glad, Linda, that you have repeated the floral language that your husband used.
I wouldn't dream of that.
Linda, I think what you experienced there was a gut reaction from a man who is...
No, he's been saying it all the time, ever since they started taking bits and pieces away from him.
But Linda, doesn't this set a precedent that if something happened and your husband was found guilty of a crime, that they can just take his medal away? It doesn't take... If Prince Andrew has done anything, it doesn't take away the fact that he served in the Falklands, does it? If your husband did something in the future that was beyond legal, it doesn't take away what he did and how he served the country in that time period, which is what he was given the medal for, does it?
No, it doesn't. But it would depend on what it was, and if it was that grotesque, then so be it. But my husband also does dispute how brave he was. He does get a little bit sick of hearing how brave he was, because as I say, he does dispute how brave he was.
He would have been protected.
Well, what's very interesting is that you get some veterans saying you can't take these medals away because this is, Prince Andrew has done these things. It's going to take a while to get used to that one. And then other veterans that are like, absolutely, take it away. He's been a disgrace. But I don't know, I mean, other than being terrible PR for the royals, he hasn't been found guilty of anything.
I think with a medal, it rewards and acknowledges specific acts of bravery. And the difference there between, say, a knighthood is that when you get given a knighthood, or a damehood, of course, that follows you around wherever you go. There's an expectation of how people might address you or even treat you in our society. That's a debate for another day. It feels like an ongoing thing that you are honoured on an ongoing basis. A medal, for me, not ever having fought in a war and have so much respect as wearing my poppy with pride for those who have fought for our country, put their lives on the line. A medal for bravery feels to me to be a more specific thing, a more time-sensitive thing.
But he still will be able to wear it at certain events, won't he? Robert from Glasgow, what's your view? Robert?
Hi, how are you doing, Storm and panel?
What's your thoughts on this?
I don't think he should be stripped of. I really don't think he should be stripped of anything, including Prince. He was born a prince, he'll die a prince.
Do you think he's behaved in a princely manner?
The guy hasn't been convicted of any crime.
No.
No.
But do you think
no,
he has behaved
definitely
in
don't.
Okay,
what about Prince Philip?
What's the accusation to Prince
Philip? Wasn't a hero. I mean, how many gaffes? Well, how many gaffes did he make? How many
Robert,
times did he make
I see where you're going with this. Gaffes are slightly different than going to stay with a convicted trafficker, a convicted paedophile. Aren't they?
Yeah, considering he knew it.
Yes. He did know.
Yeah, considering he knew it.
Yeah, exactly, Robert. So what I'm saying is there's perhaps an argument that he didn't behave in such a princely manner, which made maybe the royal family think this is not somebody we want to associate with, and therefore he's been stripped of all his titles.
Yeah, I mean, that's down to them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Robert, you've just come on here and said that he shouldn't have been stripped of all those titles.
No, he shouldn't. No, he's not been convicted of a crime.
But Robert, he willingly knew that there was a convicted paedophile trafficker, and he still not only stayed with him, he continued to communicate after the conviction, as well as his ex-wife, who he lives with. That's saying something, wouldn't you agree? The behaviour of a royal that represents our country.
Yes, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree. But at the end of the day, he hasn't been convicted of a crime.
It's okay, so it's only if you've been convicted of a crime that you get your titles taken off you. Robert, I think we're talking over each other and at cross purposes, but thank you so much for your call. Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're taking your calls on whether it is okay for children to use American slang.